I have successfully ranked every SpongeBob season ever. It took me a while, but it was worth it because I got to watch the whole show all over again, and it's always fun to watch shows you really like. I didn't even expect to make more than one video on this show, but here I am having made a lot more than just one. I'm shocked and a bit confused that these videos actually got like thousands of views, but they did, and now I'm ready to rank every season from worst to best. Season 12 is a season where there was only a few episodes I actually enjoyed. I sugarcoated a lot in my ranking in terms of how much I disliked this season. The Nitwitting, Gary's Got Legs, and Hiccup Plague are all probably in my bottom 5 episodes in the entire show, and there's a lot more that are in my bottom tier SpongeBob episodes. The problem with the season is that everything feels a little stale. There's not many ideas that they haven't done yet, and some of the creative ideas they use just end up feeling like remakes of older and better episodes. The only 2 episodes I would say I really liked were Dream Hoppers and Handemonium, and even Dream Hoppers is kind of a ripoff of Sleepy Time, which is a lot better. Overall, this season loses all the charm that made SpongeBob SpongeBob. Season 7 is the most notorious and frowned upon season of SpongeBob, and I totally get it. A very large amount of the worst episodes in the series are in this one season. A Pal for Gary, One Course Meal, and Yours, Mine, and Mine are all horrible episodes, but those are just the headlines. There are a lot more mean-spirited and unfunny episodes in this season. When you think of bad SpongeBob, it's usually seasons 6 through 8, and this is the worst of them all. It's pretty creative, and there are some episodes I don't mind, which is why it's slightly better than season 12. Episodes like Enchanted Tiki Dreams, Squidward in Clarinetland, and Bad Guy Club for Villains are all pretty good. The season isn't good at all, but it has higher highs than the last one, and even the one in front of it at sometimes. Season 6 was the first truly bad season of SpongeBob. The first 5 weren't all perfect, but they all were pretty enjoyable as a whole. But this one has The Splinter, Boating Buddies, Truth or Square, Cephalopod Lodge, Choir Boys, and a lot more awful episodes of SpongeBob. It was the first season where characters started to feel different and a lot more annoying and mean. The biggest example of this is what is labeled as Squidward torture porn. It's a very interesting name, but it's basically just SpongeBob and Patrick harassing Squidward to the point where it's not even funny anymore. And my god, is there a lot of that in this season. The reason this season is better than season 7 is because it's a bit more consistent. There's like 3 really good episodes in season 7 and the rest are all pretty bad. But this season has some episodes that are pretty harmless, just kinda in the middle. Season 11 is a bit of a mixed bag. It's probably the weirdest and the most wild season of the show, with episodes like Don't Feed the Clowns, Krabby Patty Creature Feature, and Ink Lemonade. There's very few normal episodes in this season, which is sometimes cool, but mostly provides a very awkward viewing experience. The best thing about the season is how entertaining it is though. It's very fast paced, and nothing is necessarily boring, which is pretty cool. It's not bad, I just find it way too flawed to be any higher on the list. Season 8 comes in 8th, and no, I did not do that on purpose. This season is one that I watched a lot in my younger days. In fact, I've probably watched A Friendly Game more than any episode of SpongeBob. I just think it's hilarious. I recognize some episodes like Face Freeze and The Way of the Sponge are pretty bad, but I also think there's a lot of bright spots in this season. I think The Hot Shot is hilarious, and Planet of the Jellyfish is a really fun mystery and horror parody. The season is a lot worse than some of the other seasons in the show, but I also think it's quite underrated and has a lot of really good and enjoyable episodes once you look past all the bad, and I don't think it's fair to compare it to seasons like 7 and 6. Season 5 is one of the more polarizing seasons of SpongeBob. Some people think it's the last good season, and some people think it's the first bad season. I think it's around the middle. It has some episodes similar to seasons 6 and 7, like A Flea in Her Dome and Fungus Among Us, but it also has bangers on par with stuff from the first 3 or 4 seasons, like Friend or Foe, Inmates of Summer, and Crabs a la Mode. It's quite a bit worse than the top 6, but I also don't think it's leaps and bounds ahead of season 8. It's a season where I'm still not 100% sure of how I feel about it, but right now I'm putting it right here. The top 6 seasons in the show are in a league of their own. They're all really good seasons with tons of memorable episodes. Season 9 falls in the bottom tier of these top 6 though. SpongeBob, You're Fired, and Squid Baby are way worse than anything in the other 5 seasons, and I don't think the highs are as good as some others. License to Milkshake is my favorite in this season, but there's a ton of better episodes in other ones. This season has consistency though, where most of the episodes fall in the 7 out of 10 to 8 out of 10 range, which is pretty impressive. This season was a great change of direction from the disappointing seasons that were 6 through 8. Season 4 probably ranks at number 4 on 99% of people's lists, and I totally get it. It's a banger season. Krusty Towers, Have You Seen the Snail, Dungeons and Dragons are just a few classics from this season. And the worst one is probably Squidward, I guess, which isn't even that bad. So yeah, I love the season, and it's super close to being at the number 4 spot. But I personally prefer the season in front of this just because it's a lot funnier. Season 4 isn't as funny as other seasons. It hits a lot of emotional beats in some episodes, at least as emotional as SpongeBob can get, and it's very creative. But the humor can sometimes be lacking, especially on the weaker episodes of this season. Season 10 is an absolute banger. I have no idea why nobody else thinks this season is as hilarious as I do. It's a lot shorter than other seasons, with only 22 episodes, but that helps its case in this situation because it leaves a lot less room to screw up. Other than whirly brains and housewarming, every episode is funny and really enjoyable. The Getaway is my favorite, but Lost and Found, Unreal Estate, Mimic Madness, and Krusty Catering are all hilarious and great quality episodes, something that you would see in the first 3 seasons. I think a lot of people just assume that this season is similar to other, worse modern SpongeBob, but it's just simply not. Yup, I'm Normie, and the top 3 seasons are the first 3. I really believe anyone saying otherwise is just trying to be different. I don't think season 1 is on the same level as 2 and 3, but it's still hilarious. Pizza Delivery, Ripped Pants, Fun, and SB129 are all iconic SpongeBob episodes that have been praised since their release and still hold up. I was pretty harsh on this season in my original video of ranking it, but the only episode I actually dislike is I Was a Teenage Gary. The only reason I was critical is because I didn't want a video of me just praising everything. But in reality, the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob are all seasons that I love and have loved for a very long time. Picking between season 2 and 3 for what the best season is was a lot harder than I thought it was. In fact, it's easily the hardest thing I've ever had to do on this entire channel. I used to have 3 as my definite favorite, but I can't say I still agree with that. I think right now I have to say that it's the second best. It's hard for me to do, but the reason is that season 2 is literally perfect. Like totally flawless outside of like 5 minutes of one episode. Season 3 is not that amazing. Don't get me wrong, Chocolate with Nuts is my favorite episode, and the humor in this season is at the best it's ever been. When people think of SpongeBob, a lot of the time an episode from season 3 is going to pop up in their heads. Basically, everything in the season is amazing, so I don't know if I can decide highlights. So I'll just say Chocolate with Nuts and Krusty Krab training video, and then just watch my video for ranking season 3, which I was also a bit too harsh in, I will admit, especially with Born Again Crabs. I don't know what I was thinking ranking that so low. That episode slaps and would definitely be in my top 10 if I made that list again. And if you can do math, you would know that season 2 is my favorite season. This and season 3 are basically 1A and 1B, but I had to pick one, and this is my choice. Like I said in my season 3 segment, this season is flawless other than 5 minutes of I'm With Stupid. The bangers in this season are endless, so every episode is a highlight, with Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2, and of course, Band Geeks being my absolute favorites. Yeah, Band Geeks is basically the most iconic SpongeBob episode, and the whole season is just warm and comfy, and is one of the few things that gets me nostalgic. But enough of the cringe talk. The biggest reason this season is number 1 is because it's absolutely hilarious. It's crazy that almost every joke in a season with so many episodes lands. Some of the funniest cartoon episodes ever are in this season, and the season overall captures everything that makes SpongeBob SpongeBob. This channel has been talking about SpongeBob forever, and now I'm done. It feels like a big weight off my shoulders, but now I don't really know what to do. I love the show. It's not perfect, but it earns its reputation of being one of the funniest and most enjoyable cartoons ever. Also, if you're wondering why I didn't rank Season 13, it's because I didn't want to. I haven't seen it yet, and I don't really want to watch it, but I'm just assuming it would be in last place. And, yeah, I'm done with SpongeBob. Sounds crazy.